Welcome. This is Global Infectious Diseases GCH 640, and this is the spring 2015 semester. Welcome. My name is Gregory Simon, and I'd like to thank you for registering for this class. This is my first time actually presenting a full course online, so this is going to be a bit of an experiment for me, and I hope that it will be a productive experiment for you as well. I'm sure many of you probably this is one of your first courses online as well. We will try to make the best of this. I do like to give classes in person, however, with my travel schedule at work, it's become a bit of a challenge. So let me give you a little bit of background about myself. So I am adjunct faculty at George Mason University. During the day, I actually have a job with an organization called Management Sciences for Health, in which I work with neglected tropical diseases, actually multiple infectious diseases as well as NTDs, as well as malaria, HIV, TB, influenza, and so on. We basically at MSH are a pharmaceutical management company. What we do is we work with developing countries, their governments, specifically their ministries of health and their pharmaceutical branches, to try to strengthen the health systems within the pharmaceutical areas, basically supply chain management, strengthening channels for that, delivery and distribution of drugs. My role as a senior technical officer is to work with specific countries throughout Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Americas to strengthen disease control for neglected tropical diseases. I have a whole lecture on this, so when we get into it, I'll be, delving quite deep into it. But for this purposes, I just wanted to say thank you again for joining this class. And for those of you who have been in some of my previous other classes, I would appreciate your guys' feedback, especially since you know my teaching style in person and now my teaching style online. And just if you have any suggestions, you know me, I'm fairly open. Please feel free to send me an email, talk to me in person. We can set up a Skype call, or if you happen to be in the DC area, we can see if we can even set up an in-person meeting. I try to be fairly flexible with the scheduling, as well as your due dates and things like that. I mean, my schedule is fairly complicated, so I understand that you guys all have complicated schedules, and we are going to try to keep this as real world as possible. The academic world and the public health world don't always match, so I will try to be as fluid and accommodating as possible. However, I do ask that you try to get everything done according to the due dates as soon as possible, as in respect for me, and I will try to respect you as well. Let's get into some of the things about this class that I like to talk about. So this course is basically a course on global infectious diseases. I also teach an introduction to global health, but this is going to focus mostly on the communicable diseases that are caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, including protozoa and helminths. I will go over the mode of transmission, the biology of the different diseases, as well as the drug treatments that are available. But this particular class focuses, since it's focused primarily on the global health issue, I'll talk about a lot of the epidemiology and the geographical range, as well as the treatment from a global health perspective, the treatment strategies to try to control, eradicate various diseases, and prevent them as well. I'd like to stress the fact that this class, while I do talk about some of these basic issues, I want it to be more of a critique type of class. I don't want it to be just regurgitating information about a disease, what is the clinical manifestations, because that you can always look up in a book. What I want you to do is I want you to think critically. What are the strategies that we can use to eradicate this disease? What are the strategies that are necessary to actually control them from a public health point of view? There's going to be several assignments. Similar to my other classes, I try to focus primarily on one major assignment. However, there are several smaller assignments that we will do. Since this is not an in-person class, I can't do in-person interactions with all of you. So what we'll have is an online weekly discussion board. Typically, I'll post the discussion questions when I present the presentation, and that will be presented on Saturday of the beginning of the week. And then you will have basically until the following Sunday. So that gives you 8 days to basically what I want you to do during the discussion board is I will present two to three potential questions, and I want you to, in a paragraph, talk about what you would do to answer the particular situation that I present. You can answer that one of the three questions or up to all three. You can answer, you don't need to answer all three, but if you want to, you're more than welcome to. But I'd also like some people, if they're interested, to present if someone does a presentation and answer for a question, that they can actually talk about someone else's question and maybe pose another solution that someone else presents. And I don't want this necessarily to be something that, when the week is over, that discussion is done. I want this to continue throughout the semester. If you come up with ideas about something that, when we talk about malaria and you think, oh, well, NTD has a potential solution for the malaria as well, you can go back to the NTD talk or the malaria talk and discuss it back historically as well. I'm more than welcome those type of discussions. The first major assignment, which is going to be a written assignment, will be a research critique. So what I would like you to do is take a research article. It can be any research article that exists out there. However, I wanted to focus primarily on something in public health and in a developing country. Those are the two major criteria I have. I need it to be an infectious disease that's focused on in the global health aspect of it, and it needs to be from a developing country. And what I want you to do is basically write a 2.5 to 3 page, single spaced, size 12 font, paper. And I don't want you to basically regurgitate what they've said. I want you to come up with a critique as to what you would do to make the project better, to expand it, and so on. And I'll give a more detailed discussion on what my suggestions would be for that in another lecture. The next thing that you will do is a presentation on using a PowerPoint presentation, and you'll post it online for basically public, for everyone else to view it as they will. And each student will basically choose a disease, and they'll present a 10 to 15 minute narrated PowerPoint presentation, similar to the way I'm doing here, to the class on that disease. It can be anything you want. However, I suggest that you not do HIV, TB, malaria, some of these bigger diseases, mostly because the scope is huge. If you are interested in it, I'm not ruling it out, but just be aware of your time frame and the magnitude of what you're going to be discussing. And in this particular narrated presentation, you're going to discuss the biology, the treatment schedules, and basically some of the global health programs that exist out there. I'll go into detail a little bit more about that as well. However, what I need you to focus on, and this is the big one, is this public health infectious disease paper. The paper itself represents 50% of your final grade, so it's big. It's going to be a major chunk of it. And effectively what it is you're basically making a proposal for an infectious disease program. And for those of you who have done this type of thing before, the people in my previous class, I would like to ask you that you don't choose the same exact paper or the same exact disease that you've done for my previous class. That's just a caveat. But basically what I would like you to do is discuss, in this proposal, you'll set it up into 5 different categories. The first section will be an introduction and background of the disease. What is the disease? Who's infected? Is there a vector? Things of those type of nature. And that's only 1 to 2 pages. That's going to represent 10% of your grade. Then you're going to start getting into the public health aspects of it, the magnitude of the problem. What is the epidemiology? How many people are infected? Who's infected? Are there subgroups, and so on? And then the key determinants. Basically, key determinants are things like, what are the environmental factors? Is there a poverty issue? What is what are the external determinants and that can lead you to this? Are there internal determinants like genetics and things like that? As well as the stakeholders, and this is who is important in the control of this public health problem, this infectious disease. It can be the NGOs that are working on the ground to implement programs, UNICEF, USAID, whoever. Also U.S. government, the different governmental stakeholders, and then all the way down to the physicians and the patients themselves. They're also extremely important. And then the major aspect of this is I want you to do is develop an intervention of your own. This is basically your proposal of how you would make a prevention or intervention strategy to basically better a particular program. And it can be something that is not been previously done, or it can be something that you're expanding on. Monitoring and evaluation is the last part of this, and that's basically how will you monitor and evaluate the program? How will you actually, what indicators will you look at? Will you look at survival? Will you look at life years saved and so on? And then for how long and things of that nature. And again, this will be an iterative process, so you can ask me multiple questions on this. You can show me drafts as we're moving along, and I'd be happy to provide feedback. So that's 50% of your final grade. And then after that, you have basically you have to pitch that to me through a narrated, again, a PowerPoint presentation that you will present and put online on Blackboard, and you'll present it, and you have about, again, 10 to 15 minutes to present it, in which you're going to present all those different things and your strategy and so on. And then finally, you'll have a final exam. It's a 50 question multiple choice exam. It'll include some free response answers and some fill in the blank type of things. It shouldn't be extremely hard. I just basically want this to make sure that you guys are on board, and plus I'm required more or less to give at least one exam to give some kind of quantitative analysis of your performance. And with that, that's really the grades. And for each of these things, if you're having any confusion as to what you can do, feel free to ask me. You can choose the same exact disease for basically all of this. You can choose the same disease for your research article, your narrated presentation, and your disease public health intervention. I don't mind, as long as you make sure that it's building on each thing, and that it's not just repeating the same things over and over again. I have to give an ethics statement. Again, you guys are all graduate students or post-bacs, and by now you should know this fairly well. I just ask that you don't, plagiarize and cheat on exams. I'll trust you. We're all adults here, so but please just, don't make it. Don't make me try to. Don't make me have to investigate it. It's not something I enjoy doing, and I don't think it's necessary. It's I try to make this class as fairly easy and realistic as possible for what you need to do. If you're having any difficulties, if you're having any personal problems at home that's hindering your progress in the class, please contact me. If you don't feel comfortable by email, let's see if we can do a Skype chat or even in person, and we can work through it. Again, I'm trying to be as flexible as possible. Everything I'm going to present will be on Blackboard, and all the things that you need to send to me. You need to email me the papers, but the PowerPoint presentations and the will need to be posted on Blackboard as well, so everyone else has access to it. So the schedule, basically it's week to week. So every week we'll start effectively on the Saturday prior to the week, and I will post the lectures at that time, and then you have effectively till the next Sunday to review it and to post your weekly reports, your weekly discussion boards. As you can see, I'd like to be able to, talk about every single individual disease, but it's impossible given the time frame. So I'm trying to focus on the diseases and the disease aspects that tend to be the most common in what I've seen in the global health field today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with an introduction to the principles of infectious diseases, how you control them, the vaccine diseases, the vector-borne diseases, the neglected tropical diseases, and then you have student presentations in which you guys can present your diseases that you're interested in. And then we'll do STIs and HIV, TB and respiratory diseases, diarrheal diseases, and then we're going to get into a little bit more interesting stuff, the disease eradication programs. Some of these diseases are already getting marked for elimination and eradication, if you can believe it or not. Malaria is included in that, measles, polio, and some of the diseases that are eradicated already. Well, it's really only smallpox, but we'll talk about those programs. And then your final presentations will be on towards the end of April, and then the final exam. So it's a fairly tight schedule there. As you can see, your research article is due on February 8th. I'm going to give you a 2-day extension on that till February 10th, since I myself am a little delayed on presenting this presentation. I apologize for that. There's been some technical difficulties with trying to get these presentations online, and I've just now finally been able to do it. And then, as you can see also for your paper, each section will be due on a specific date. What I will do is I am not going to grade it until the very end of the paper. I will basically give you feedback for each section so you can correct it. Again, I want this to be an iterative process in which, there should be no B's in this class. Effectively, everyone should get an A, because if I'm doing my job throughout the semester of working with you, and you're doing your job throughout the semester of correcting, making the suggestions that I make, then I think everyone should be able to do fairly well in this class, and we shouldn't have a problem. So therefore, for your final paper, it's going to be at the very end. I'm going to grade it. Each section that's due is basically a due date that I can get it, so I can get feedback to you so you can make the necessary adjustments to your final paper. And that's pretty much the way the assignments go. Your research article and your journal club or research article presentations, those are set dates, and those need to be done on the specific presentation dates. So those will be pretty much set in stone. But everything else, I think, if everything is going progress fairly well, then I think we should be doing pretty good to have everything done by May 3rd. And my expectations. Again, my major expectation for this class is that I don't want it to be simply that you are repeating something from a textbook. I want you to think critically. I want you to come up with new ideas. I want you to expand on existing ideas. And as long as you're doing those type of things and you're trying to show that you have put yourself into the programs, then I think we'll do well. If you have any questions, again, email me is the best way. It's on the syllabus, my email address. We can set up a Skype meeting if you need something more personal, more time to discuss. And if you have any questions about the progress of the class, please just feel free to contact me. And again, thank you very much. Bye-bye.